They worked on their backhands over the years. And Barry, you're mentioning the match points. Well, he saved 2 match points early on in the Rotterdam against Ugo Humbert, and that really paved the way for a great result there, making the quarters. Also a semi-finalist in Antalya, semi-finalist at the Murray River Open, and quarter-finalist in Dubai. Has cooled off just a little bit on the clay, 3 and 4, and his last event was coming in Madrid. Didn't play Rome. Second meeting between these players, as you can see. The first one, 2018, in the first round. That went the way of Sandgren. That was on the way to that big breakthrough, making the quarterfinals where he beat Dominic Thiem on the way to the last 8 at the Australian, in what was a very eventful Australian Open for him on the court and off the court. This is the first meeting on the clay between these players. And this the last event, or the last week, I should say, before the French Open, dovetailing with Parma, the other event. So an opportunity for the players to really fine-tune their games, but also maybe get a title under their belts. So it's the start of play at the Belgrade Open between Tennys Sandgren and Jeremy Chardy. And just some news to pass your way that Filip Krajinovic, who was due to be one of the seeds at this event, unfortunately having to pull out due to illness, and he was due to take on Hamad Medjedovic, the 17-year-old wild card. So Krajinovic is not playing, unfortunately, and we wish him a speedy recovery. It will be Tennys Sandgren to begin against Jeremy Chardy. He's somebody who can get 3 points on serve, Sandgren.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those matches. I don't expect there'll be too many long rallies. To be honest, it's often the case with Chardy. He's a very, very aggressive player.
Will not want to do that. Chardy leave a ball short to that forehand side of Sandgren.
Yeah, and that'll be the key, really, for Sandgren. Just try and make Chardy make as many or hit as many backhands. He needs to get enough width, because Chardy will then look to run round the back and hit the big forehand.
Very, very first opening game for Tennys Sandgren, as he's able to get the hold.
Now, it will be an interesting week's tennis, because of course you got Djokovic right at the top, the heavy favourite, and with Monfils seeded second, and the poor form that Gael's been in.
Yeah, it's been hard for him. He did his matches last week in Lyon, and he said he's looking for confidence, right? He's trying to get that back. Hasn't played many matches. Ended up losing to Yoshi Nishioka, the fine lefty from Japan. He was a bit up and down in that match, which I guess he's
Gael,
expecting
right?
that. Yeah, he's expecting that even more in these cases because he hasn't played many matches. Interesting that you have Monfils as a seed, also in Adrien Manarino, his fellow Frenchman, the number 4 seed in Belgrade, who we know doesn't really like playing on the clay. He prefers playing on hard and grass. So we'll see how that bottom half of the draw does eventually shape up.
That's why somebody like Krajinovic will be disappointed he's had to pull out. We wish him well.
And of course, we don't know who the lucky loser is yet, because qualifying taking place today. final round. A tough start for Chardy yet to win a point.
Wow. He's still in the locker room.
Just missing with that backhand, Sandgren.
Yeah, maybe that's the type of point that Chardy needed to just help him sort of settle down in this match.
'57th in the rankings, Chardy, but number 35 in the race. Good defending initially by Sandgren off one of those heavy forehands from Chardy, and he has a couple of break points.
Well, this has just been a case of putting balls in court. Why would you change anything at the moment if you're the American? Good solid start.
And the defending wins Sandgren that game. 2-love to the American.
Well, for someone who's really struggled for victories, that's the best possible start. At the moment, just let your opponent self-destruct. I mean, you do know at some stage Chardy's going to find a better level. And that's why it's important to just be an intelligent match player. Assess the situations.
And that too, just maybe lacking a little bit of commitment on that forehand. Slow start indeed for Chardy.
Well, tournaments rather usually start on a Monday, and maybe Chardy still thinks this is practice day.
Well, that's not a far-fetched hypothesis, Barry, because it has been such a slow start for him. He just moved over to his left, giving Sandgren a different look in his return stance, Chardy. Maybe that threw the American off. He's well outside the top 100 when it comes to the race this season, Sandgren. And 2 game points. He's been pretty healthy this season as well, Sandgren. Although he came down, he said, with a case of bug bites while he was playing in Mexico. There was a video of that he put out there.
He's one of those players. All he needs is to get a couple of wins. And those couple of wins then can start the momentum.
Put under pressure there. That was a good return from Chardy. But the forehand finds the net, so it has been the perfect start for Tennys Sandgren. But Chardy looking to pick up his form certainly as this set and this match goes along. Sandgren leading 3 games to love.
Time.
Well, at the moment, couldn't get any better for Sandgren without really. I can't remember hitting a winner. It's just solid.
Yeah, very solid, and Chardy has been the one just leaking some errors. He wants to get on the board here. Chardy, love 3. Now, Bear, we're talking about the kind of slump that he's having this season, Sandgren, but also mixed again in the past with those big results, almost beating Federer. He's taken a set off Novak Djokovic, for example, at the US Open. Can you pinpoint why this could happen to a player like Sandgren?
To be honest, no. But sometimes it can, you know, the game is so strong.
He thought that ball was wide.
Almost for me, I mean, it's just a gut feeling, but I think players at 60, 70 and 80 are stronger now than they've ever been. So you just lose a bit of confidence. It can be tough to turn that around. Your ranking drops, you don't get in the main draws of the Masters.
That one was clearly on the line from Chardy. Because he does have a pretty decent record against the top 20. Also has his share of top 10 wins. 2 Grand Slam quarterfinals.
That's much better from Chardy. Let's get on the board. Almost you feel the match has then started.
A very good approach. Little chance for Sandgren, and Chardy is on the board.
Chardy has also done very well in doubles with Fabrice Martin, but they're not playing together this week. Martin is playing with the Monaco-based player, Hugo Nice. That's the right pronunciation, isn't it?
I'll take your word for it.
Thanks.
I believe it is.
It's Monegasque, isn't it?
Yes, Monegasque. Yeah.
Of course, that's in the news today. the Grand Prix.
Chardy is coming on now. That last game, providing him with a bit of inspiration, confidence.
If he was a Grand Prix driver, he wouldn't be particularly good around the streets of Monaco, would he? Chardy, he'd be more as fast as you can.
Yeah. Down the straight. So that last game, that could be pivotal, especially that point, that ball that Chardy hit down the line, that Sandgren thought it was wide. He kind of stopped for a second, and then his reply went long. Would have been ahead in that game. It's a nice change of pace where he put that serve. He actually loves his football or soccer. There's Chardy. He's a big PSG fan, Tennys Sandgren, as it turns out.
Is it today?
Not playing as they usually do in the French league.
Yeah, it's today, isn't it? The finale.
Let me check.
Lille are the team at the top.
Here's a break point for Chardy. Yeah, it is the final match day today in France. Very good serve. Deep. Yes, PSG point behind Lille. Very, very good from Chardy. He's now really into this match.
It's the best point of the match. Physical point. Good tennis from Sandgren. The ability there from Chardy to turn defense into attack.
Second chance in this game. Oh, that was a wonderful inside-in forehand from Chardy, and he's able to get the break. And we're now back on serve. In this first round match in Belgrade, Sandgren still leading 3-2.
It's always the dangers when you're playing Chardy on big points. He's brave. He's not someone who necessarily plays the percentages, so if you miss your first serve, you know he's going to look to bring the forehand into play. So finally, for the Frenchman, he's been able to settle down.
Interesting with that, Bear, because sometimes you watch Chardy over the years and you say, okay, maybe in that situation, could he have managed things better and just be a little more solid? But as you say, his game is to be aggressive, and that's how he's posted some of these very big results. Yeah. It's kind of a balance. It's a tricky balance at times.
Yeah, it is, because ultimately, always players and coaches want consistency. But I think he's half the player if you try and make him more consistent. It takes away that unpredictability side of his tennis that can worry the better players.
For a player who hasn't won many matches this season, Tennys Sandgren, let's see how the last 2 games will affect his game and if Chardy will be able to go on a bit of a run here. Nice and patient from Chardy, didn't try to force it.
Yeah, now there's a pattern to the match. I think the key really for Sandgren is he's got to look to use that backhand down the line every now and again, but it's pretty hard if you're playing that far back. If you're predictable with your two-hander to Chardy, then he can basically just live in that left corner and hit forehands.
And that floats long. I found that interesting, that point, because he was standing so far behind the baseline, Sandgren, and he wanted to drive the return, which he did, but surprised he doesn't run around, take a step over to his left and crank the forehand. Or maybe he could get more depth and more of the heaviest shot. He won the point in the end. Well, he's ahead of this game. Very good defending mid-rally off that laser-like forehand from Chardy.
Yeah, sometimes it wins you the battle, but it doesn't always win you the war.
Oh, that is a gorgeous forehand from Chardy.
And that's the dangers. I mean, it is a stunning shot, and maybe sometimes you just say too good. Oh, this is how he plays, Chardy.
A bit of frustration now on Sandgren's side.
I mean, that's why for Chardy, playing someone like Djokovic is just the worst nightmare. They played 14 times, no surprise what the score is.
He was joking about that a few years ago, that, yeah, he's beaten Federer. I'd beaten him on a clay court, but every time it comes to Novak, oh no, it's trouble, big trouble. Just missing with that too, so he was ahead in that game. Sandgren unable to capitalize, 3-0.
Well, that's what you were saying, Ravi. That was the play, running around the backhand. I mean, even though he missed it, you've got to show your opponent you have that type of shot.
Now, even at this stage, Barry, you wonder, given his lack of match wins, Sandgren, where his head is, he was up 3-love, he's now 3-all. All the momentum with Chardy. So this is a very big game for Sandgren. Well done. There's that shot you're calling for.
And this is where you do have to be smart, because what worked for you in the opening 3 games is now not going to work for him. So you have to be someone who just is the ability to adjust your tactics. That was a great opening point.
Just didn't do enough with his backhand there. Such is the psychological nature of tennis. If you're Chardy and you see that backhand down the line, you say, okay, well done to you, but how many times are you going to hit that shot as a winner?
Yep. And the best players always have that mentality.
Yeah, that's right.
Well done. Got another 3 to break me.
He needs more of those, maybe some free points on the serve. That one took the pace off. And there, he tried it again. Just see maybe not quite as comfortable hitting that shot. Sandgren, who won their matchup in 2018. That was the first round in Melbourne, 6-4, 7-6, 6-2. 12 aces that day, 81% first serve. Hard court, obviously different surface. Oh, that is sumptuous from Chardy.
Well, it's absolutely brilliant. And he went for the wide serve, the penultimate time from that juice side, but he just didn't hit his spots there.
Here's a break point for the Frenchman. That time he went for it, hit it well, the serve.
I don't think he's going wide again.
No,
I'd
surely.
be surprised if he did. More than likely it'd be going to the back end.
Well, he did. He went wide and he paid the price because Chardy able to dictate right off the return.
That's identical point almost. And now that he is in full flow, you've got to try and keep it away from Chardy dictating with the forehand.
This time no ace on the break chance. Could be the opportunity for Chardy. Doesn't have to hit the return. And he is a little bit out of sorts now, is Tennys Sandgren, after leading 3-love. It's 4 games on the spin for Jeremy Chardy, the Frenchman, who is now leading in this first set. 4 games to 3.
And when a player is lacking in wins, you look at their body language. Do they quicken up between points? I think he has. Decision-making maybe not as good as it would be when they're in full flow, when they're confident. Now, these are the sort of tough moments that every player goes through. It's all relative.
Yeah, you know, it's difficult. You're talking about the depth and having to go week from week, and these players that, you know, they're facing now. And you might be thinking about, you know, this lead already, you know, 3-love, and perhaps even that point, the forehand that Chardy struck down the line that he thought was wide. He stopped for a second, and he would have been ahead in that game. And, you know, if it's 4-love, it's a whole different feel, right?
One thing, the ball kids are going to be busy this week with those parasols. They've got to wind them up, wind them down.
They do such a great job every single week. All the tasks they have. Chardy serving here now, 4-3 in control. Just forgetting for a second, new balls. And might be pressing just a little bit now, Sandgren.
Can be his Achilles heel. He can lose that ball toss. Chardy over to the left, struggles at times to get that consistent ball toss.
Quickly makes the adjustment. Isn't it something, Baron? You played for a long time. I know you do a lot of coaching. people out there might be thinking, this guy's been a pro for such a long time, yet sometimes having issues with the ball toss. Why is that?
Well, it can be a number of factors. Sometimes it's you're a little tight. Maybe ideally you want to hold the ball loosely. You don't want to grab hold of the ball.
Nothing wrong with that toss and the serve.
40-50.
I often say to club players who get it in their head, they think, I can't throw the ball up. Don't worry. It happens to Grand Slam champions.
Yeah, you feel like you have to be relaxed.
Yeah.
He's playing relaxed now, Chardy. I don't know what we've seen in the last 5 games. You wonder how Sandgren is going to get back into this one.
Oh, this has been an eventful opening set. I mean, it's a set of 2 halves. But to be honest, it's been all 8 games about this man, Chardy. Unforced errors opening 3 games, and then since then, he's the one who's been dictating play. So I think for Sandgren, he needs to make that adjustment.
Love 15.
And he'll take more of those as well, Sandgren. Especially with the way things have been going when they've been trading these baseline exchanges. Oh, the depth from Chardy now is outstanding.
15-30.
Look at his record, though, on red clay. It's not great for Sandgren. He's always had his better results on the hard courts. Just 9 wins on clay.
Mm-hmm. Well, he tried something different there. He lacked a little conviction on that drop shot. And now here's a set point. Oh, paid off there. Had to be good, and it was from Sandgren.
Yeah, very good. And what the key here was he hugged the baseline. And he wasn't forced too far back.
Oh, that's nice finesse from Sandgren to follow up his serve.
Probably the shot of the set, actually. Really smart, the wrong footing drop shot.
So then Chardy tries it, but his does not clear the net. And by saving the set point, will that change things around in this opener? We'll find out soon enough. Chardy leading 5-4. First time for both these players playing in Belgrade at the Novak Tennis Center. It was Novak's birthday yesterday, and he was presented with a nice cake, celebrating with some of the organizers and people around. as you're saying, he will be the heavy favorite in this one. Djokovic, we know that he has a bye into the second round, and he'll face either a qualifier or Igor Gerasimov in the second round.
What's your cake? What's your preference? Are you a chocolate cake?
Chocolate. I'll go chocolate.
Chocolate.
How about you?
Coffee.
Okay, coffee.
Yeah, like coffee. Or Victoria Sponge.
Oh, the contrast, the Victoria Sponge or the coffee cake. And as we speak, they're being ordered up for Barry. We're just chatting about the cakes at the change of ends, and hasn't been a piece of cake this first set for Jeremy Chardy, but the last, 5-6 games have been mostly in his favor. However, Sandgren has just saved a set point. Will that put an element of doubt into the mind of Chardy? We'll find out. Sandgren finding the line, the ball just stayed in, and then the error later from Chardy. Actually, reading a past interview with Chardy, he said his favorite meal would be tomato, mozzarella, and Parma ham as a starter. Afterwards, some Côte de Boeuf with fries, and to finish, strawberry with ice cream and whipped cream.
That's because he lives in London now.
Floating along. Yes, his wife is British.
Yeah. Have you ever had the pepper and the strawberries?
Pepper and strawberries?
Yeah.
No, I've never tried it.
Yeah.
Good? Good mix?
Very nice. Just a little bit extra flavour. You're looking at me really puzzled there, Ravi.
Never heard of that before. Another good serve from Chardy. We'll have the chatter about the food as we go along, and also the tennis, obviously. But yeah, that's going to stick with me, the pepper on the strawberries.
It's got a strong first serve, Chardy. That's been the key for him.
I mean, just to perfection. Textbook stuff from Chardy, start to finish.
Yeah, and just going back to why he doesn't like playing Djokovic is because Djokovic hits the return early and he's on the defense. At that point, it was brilliant, but the forehand was the shot that did the damage right from the word go.
Now looking so relaxed is Chardy. 2 more set points, this one on his first serve. A terrific comeback in that first set from Jeremy Chardy. He was down 3-love, the Frenchman, but came roaring back. Playing such good tennis, precise tennis, Chardy did. And he'll walk to his chair. A winner in the first set, 6-4.
Well, if you take out the opening 3 games, which were for Chardy full of unforced errors, from that moment on he played really good tennis, dominated with the first serve 73%, dominated with the forehand. So although Sandgren had a very healthy first serve percentage, he just needs to do better with that. This first serve point one needs to be landing a little bit more aggressive with the first serve, maybe sacrifice a bit of the first serve percentage, but ultimately will allow him to try and be more aggressive, get on the front foot. He does not want to allow Chardy to be the one dominating the rallies, and that was certainly the case for most of that first set. He's got to use the 2 minutes at the end of the set, and it's clear for Chardy. It'll just be, okay, that's good. Keep focus for Sandgren. Does he feel the need to change his game? Change his court position, probably more so than necessarily tactics.
A good start to this second set is imperative, you feel, for Tennys Sandgren, the American. Down a set, not many wins for him this season, just a 3 heading into Belgrade. In the drive through instead of hitting the slice there. Chardy. Space was there and he took full advantage. Chardy, especially in that forehand.
Yeah, changing direction when you're under pressure is not advisable against Chardy, because it just allows him then to hit that easy forehand cross court.
Up against it in this game, up against it for most of the last 20 minutes or so. Sandgren, he was saying that after he played that match against Federer last year, Australian Open, and those 7 match points, that his fellow players, fans, you know, expressed their, say, support for him, knowing it was a very tough loss for him, so close.
Yeah, no one likes to lose matches when they've had a ton of match points, especially in such a big match as that for Sandgren.
Just powering to that forehand, Chardy.
Yeah, that last point actually a really good example of why Sandgren is not as comfortable on clay as the hard. He just doesn't move as confidently. Just a little off balance there. Look at the natural clay quarters. They always move with balance and ease.
Having to move up quite quickly in the court, hit that forehand because he's been defending for so much of this match. Sandgren, more defending to do here. Yeah, couldn't do anything with it. Just so hard and deep from Chardy. And he gets the break to begin the second.
It's such an underestimated place to go on the return. Hard, heavy, back down the middle. And that's just brilliant from Chardy.
Very clear-minded in what he was doing.
Again, that's why it's important on that second serve to change it up. Don't always go for that kick serve. Show them the one down the middle.
You're talking about Sandgren and moving on a clay court, Barry. It seems like, you know, in more recent times, a lot of the Americans, the younger American players, are much more comfortable playing on the surface. You had Fritz and Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz and Tommy Paul playing the French Open Junior final years ago. That was won by Paul. Tiafoe has won a challenger playing in Italy out on the clay. Riley Opelka, the big server, he can play on any surface. Yeah. He made the semifinals recently in Rome.
How good was he in Rome?
Oh, he was just hitting the serve well, but also backing it up. They often say about him that, you know, he's so tall, but he moves so well for somebody his size. And in fact, relating it to Belgrade, it was all those years ago now, was it more than 10 years ago, we had the All-American final in Belgrade between Querrey and Isner. And Querrey won that one, saved the match point against his good buddy.
7-6 in the third, was it?
It was.
Was it?
No, it was. I know it was 7-6 I can't recall. I'll find the score. It was either in the second or third, and Isner could not serve out the match in the second. One of the few times in this match, Chardy maybe not having the time to hit that forehand. Has made a clay court final. Sandgren, I was in Houston.
Yeah, that's good from Sandgren. Doing to Chardy what Chardy's done a lot to the American.
Back in behind for a couple of break points.
Yeah, the difference now on the returns, that's been the key this game. Just the shift of his court position, not sitting as deep.
So a lifeline for Tennys Sandgren. Breaks back for 1-0.
Yeah, that Querrey isn't a match, Ravi. 6-4 in the third, so good memory. 3-6, 7-6, 6-4.
Needs to consolidate here. You feel Sandgren. Just received a warning for ball abuse. Sandgren. Responds with the ace.
Wow. It's utterly devastating.
15.
It's just easy power as well.
Yeah. Chardy's the type of player, I think you would say, Barry, he doesn't really have to go for the lines, even though sometimes he does really like to go for the lines and pepper them.
Yeah, there aren't too many that could make a shot look as easy as that. It's going to wind up again, surely, with the forehand.
Well, there was a ball from Sandgren that flirted with going long. It didn't.
Yeah, if this was a boxing fight, that last point is sort of on the ropes, and you've got to come back with a heavy blow, otherwise eventually it'll just knock you down. Just too short from Sandgren.
Oh, that's just lovely from Chardy. So effortless.
Chardy body, 2 games to 1.
Not very happy is Sandgren, understandably so. So that last game, he got the warning for ball abuse. He dropped his racket after Chardy hitting that winner. He's taking out his frustration towards his camp.
No, I think it's more of a case of how uncomfortable he feels. He's got to let his frustration off to someone. It's not the umpire, it's to his box.
It was Gilles Simon who wrote that book last year. Title, This Sport That Makes You Crazy.
Yeah.
Can provide so much joy, but at the same time, when things aren't going well, it can be difficult for the players. Once again, he's up by a set and a break is Jeremy Chardy, the Frenchman, who hails from Pau in France, serving at 2-1. Just hammering away. Still has plenty of tennis to play, but he's thought about what he wants to do thereafter. He said he wants to stay in tennis. He actually was the tournament director of a challenger in Pau, so got his feet wet doing that. In the past, he's expressed his love of acting, maybe wanting to try a bit of acting. when his playing days are done.
That's a lovely place power. I remember going to a Davis Cup tie many years ago to watch France.
About 15 on.
A nation that absolutely loves its tennis. Oh, another thumping drive on that forehand from Chardy.
That's such a spectacular shot. That's the shot that's done the damage.
Oh, that forehand working once again. He was not put off by the depth of the drive from Sandgren. He made that as well. And the head is down from Sandgren. I mean, when Chardy is playing this type of tennis, he's so difficult to stop.
It's just brilliant. You can't stop it. You just got to hope that the storm passes.
At this stage, maybe you feel that, you know, he has to hope for a repeat of the first 3 games where Chardy just, you know, was spraying balls and making errors, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And also at this stage, Barry, even if it does happen, I mean, the way Sandgren looks now on the court, completely rattled.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup because you've either got to go one or two ways against Chardy when he's in this mood. You've either got to come back with a big game. And when I say a big game, it's sort of Isner, Opelka, you know, be able to make him defend, or you've got to be a great defender in terms of your movement, which is not necessarily what Sandgren wants to do.
And as you say, playing on this surface where Chardy is the much more natural of the two movers.
And then you throw in the mix the biggest intangible of them all when he's devoid of any confidence.
Took out some of the frustration there, maybe.
Yeah. That's what we call control frustration.
Forget about controlled aggression.
Yeah. You got to keep fighting, though. We've seen plenty of matches on this clay court swing that have changed.
And it is just the one break. Although it seems more than that.
Ouch. Spectacular.
Able to direct it to the backhand was Sandgren, and he drew the air from the Frenchman. But it is Chardy who's still looking so very good in this match. His first round match, he leads 6-4 and 3-2.
He's a fun player to watch. I'm not so sure he's a fun player to play against, Chardy.
They can take it out of your hands, right?
Yep.
So as you're saying, you have to do things to take him out of his comfort zone. And unfortunately for Sandgren, just hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah, and also to try and vary the pace, vary the height, vary the spins, which again is not, it's not what Sandgren is comfortable in doing.
Yeah, you think of, you know, somebody like a Federer.
Dan Evans.
Yes.
Dan Evans played so smart against Chardy.
Yeah.
Was it Monte Carlo?
It was Madrid.
Madrid.
Yeah. Three-setter. Saving set points in the first was crucial for Evans. Although Chardy saved match points to force a third.
Time.
Looking to end a mini two-match losing streak, Jeremy Chardy. And he's looking good, it must be said. He's up by a set and a break. Well, that was another terrific forehand.
15.
No, we don't have the advantage of seeing the forehand winners for this match, but it feels like it is sort of 95% coming from Chardy's end.
Well done, the Sandgren. Chardy will feel maybe could have done more with that forehand off the drop.
Always make your opponent serve it out. Just keep hanging in there. You never know what's just around the corner.
Thank you, sir. Please stop.
Just held his ground right off the return of Sandgren did Chardy. Refused to be pushed back, strong in the legs.
That's just top-class tennis. Really balanced on that smash.
Couple of double faults in this set from Chardy. Just has to be careful from his perspective that he maintains that intensity. And well put away. That was a small chance there for Sandgren on the backhand.
Oh, what's he done?
What's he done here?
Oh, that's... does not look good. I only think it's when he landed after the smash.
Slightly landing awkwardly on that left foot. An opportunity there for Sandgren. That's the way his day has gone for the most part. Sandgren now 4-2 in the second. Chardy in Monte Carlo. He lost to Grigor Dimitrov in the second round after beating Alexander Bublik. And he was saying after talking about the benefits of playing on clay, he said young players would do really well to play a lot more on clay because you have to think, and it's something we've heard in the past, right? You really have to think, you could plan. It's not about, you know, hitting these big drives and then winning the points straight away. There are different things in place. taking those backhands nice and early, but in the end just flinches Sandgren. Do you agree with that, Barry, that clay is great for the development of players?
Yep. I'm actually a big believer that I think it's good to have both in your development. Clay in the summer, pretty quick indoors in the winter. Then you get the blend. And I know there are some of the school of thought that it should be clay all year round to build the foundations, but I think also by playing on quicker courts makes you become a complete player. Which is interesting, you know, which maybe is what the Americans have gone away from a little bit. You think of the greats that they've had, how aggressive they were as players, but also they learned to play on clay.
Mm-hmm. Here's big trouble now for Sandgren. Indeed, you think of, you know, Carrier, Agassi, Chang, players like that. Sampras made one semi-final at the French.
Yeah.
Look
at a lot of the Europeans, you know, your Djokovic's of the world, your Federers, Steffi Graf in the women's. You know, in the winter they would have played on quick courts.
Petra Kvitova.
Yeah.
Nicely done. He needs this game, Sandgren.
That's one of the few times Ashley today he's had a little bit of time and showing what he can do with his forehand.
Two of them saved. But not the third one. He is completely wrong-footed. Tremendous backhand from Jeremy Chardy. And it's hard to believe that he started this match by losing the first 3 games. Has been mostly one-way traffic thereafter. Frenchman now leading by set and 5-2.
Rightly so. We've been praising the forehand a lot in this match, but the backhand's also been very good, and it was the backhand down the line. It always feels much more comfortable hitting the shot down the line, Chardy, just because of the technique that he has. Doesn't always get a lot of use with his left hand. It's showing the values, the ability to be able to hit that shot down the line. Rotten footing, Sandgren.
Jeremy Chardy looking for his 15th win of the campaign. Looks like it might be on the way in the very near future, because he's now trying to serve this one out against Tennys Sandgren. Wasn't sure if they were new balls. Just had the new ball, so not so.
When you look at a player like Sandgren, who's struggling for wins, thought maybe playing doubles. Just win some matches, whatever
get
it is.
some confidence from somewhere.
I remember Isner a couple of years ago did well in Indian Wells, didn't he?
That's right.
Won Miami.
Yeah. Just a mark of his confidence, and also the score. Chardy, look at that second serve, terrific from the Frenchman. And he has 3 match points. Sealed in style by Jeremy Chardy. He gets win number 15 in this season and goes through 6-4, 6-2 against Tennys Sandgren. And that after he dropped the first 3 games.
Yeah, that was an excellent performance from Chardy. First 3 games were poor. But even though he built up that lead, you still felt that the match was in Chardy's hands. So once he started to find more consistency in terms of his shots, then he really controlled the match in terms of the first serve, in terms of his forehand, and Sandgren just was uncomfortable. It's tough for any tennis player when you're devoid of confidence and you're on your least favorite surface, but so many positives for Chardy. 81% first serves, those 5 aces from Sandgren, but just not enough for the American, who can move forward. And you've always got to hope the next week is going to be the week, but I think Chardy, if he's in this type of form, it's going to take a performance to beat him.
Especially with the way that he's playing this season, Jeremy Chardy. But for Sandgren, he can now fully focus on the French Open, his next tournament. I would love to get a win there just to try and turn around this season. Tough start to the season for Sandgren.
Jeremy, congratulations on the win. It seems like a slow start after first 3 games, but from that point on, you were focused, you were a better player. What are your impressions about the match?
I mean, I think I played a really good match today, really solid. Really happy with my performance. I started a little bit slow, but he was playing really good too at the beginning. And after I find the key to play better than him and get the win, that's the most important.
In the next round, Berankis or Lajovic, you have a winning performance against both. You have better score. What do you expect? You are focusing on your game, or?
Yeah, for sure. I think now everybody is playing really well. Only really good player and solid player. So I will try to focus on my game, focus on myself, and again try to find the key to win the next round.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup indeed to Jeremy Chardy, who will indeed take on either Berankis or Lajovic. Lajovic should be number 5 seed, top half of the draw.